Continue our journey along with Jesus recasting the story from the Gospels in a modern setting. Joshua returned to Peden under the steam and anointing of the authority of God's breath. Throughout the region, people were talking about him. He became the subject of many an opinion piece, blog article, and social media discussion, not to mention dinner party conversation. Along his journey, he encountered invitations to stop and speak. He found audiences in open-air gatherings, at watering holes, civic events, potluck dinners, and Wednesday night church suppers. Pastors invited him into their various pulpits, knowing his presence would draw a crowd. Chambers of Commerce, Ruritan, Civitan, Rotary, and Lions clubs featured him as speaker. Local media reports included snatches of his words, and everyone seemed enthralled with him, though as yet they were not quite sure what to do with him. Newsletters went out online commenting on him from all across the political, social, and religious spectrums, with much speculation about his identity, the import of his message, his potential impact on society, and the direction that his life would take. Amid this newsy but uncertain time, he made his way back to Saturn, where he had spent most of his formative years. The hometown boy made good. First Church called him to their Sunday pulpit, widely advertising his arrival as a homecoming celebration. His voice broadcast by media and streamed online, he stood up to read from Yesaiah. "Hear Yah, the living God, in our reading of these words," he said. "Upon me the breath of Yah's mouth has come, charging and empowering me to proclaim a fresh message of joy, particularly for the poor. Yah grants amnesty to the incarcerated, rupturing chains that enslave so many, granting people renewed sight, liberating those under the thumb of the powerful, and proclaiming Yah's prosperity indeed being for all the masses. The living Yah speaks yet today. Thanks be to Yah." There was silence as the whole congregation strained to hear what he would add to these words. Joshua declared then, "Before your very eyes these words of long ago are given flesh and become incarnate among you. These words declare Yah's manifest purpose on my life, my vision, and my ministry. Per Yah's anointing, these words are center point and focus of my life. Yah's charge laid upon me gives these words purchase on the reality around us in this present hour. Beyond me, their effects extend into the world we inhabit, transforming life as we have known it." Hushed affirmative nods and murmurs spread throughout the people, clinging to his every word. They knew Joshua as Braden and Nikki's son. His parents' pride extended now to the larger community, claiming him as one of their own. This hometown hero was back in their midst, bringing attention to their town. He had brought them into the spotlight as the nation's attention turned toward him and caught them up in the glow of his wake. Joshua continued, "Doubtless you will quote me the proverb, 'Help your own first.' Do for us what you did in Milford." Certainly, every expert returned home is deemed barely a competent child. One's home folk are the last to see their true worth. In Kickapoo's time, there were many widows throughout Peden, and when the waters dried up, bringing severe drought for half a decade, Yah sent Kickapoo away from Peden, not to any one of them, but to one far away in Nashoba in the land of the Choctaw. There were many afflicted with polio in the land during the time of Chigakwa. Yet the only one Yah sent him to cure was a foreigner, Akansis of Mentus, captain of the army of our people's most deadly foe. Yah's blessings are neither yours to claim for yourselves, nor to deny to others. Suddenly, Joshua's words did not sit very well with the congregation. They rose to their feet in protest. They pushed Joshua out of the sanctuary doors and called for creating a noose to hang him from the nearest oak tree. While they were yelling, arguing, and attaching one end of a rope to someone's pickup truck, Joshua slipped through their ranks and left them to their uproar. Along the road out of town, Joshua heard news that Kalataka had been taken prisoner by Berkeley. Berkeley had become upset with Kalataka calling out his pedophilic relationships, misogyny, and racist proclamations. He shut Kalataka in prison to silence her voice, to put a lid on the matter of her public critique, the outcry coming from its repercussions. Joshua made his way out of Saturn with his followers, heading back to Milford on Peden by the water, on the edge of the territories of Matik and Nachi. While they didn't speak of it at the time, Joshua's followers later recalled other words from Yesaiah. Land of the Matik and land of the Nachi. Along the river road across the Katapa, crossroad of all nations, where humanity lives without guidance, anxiously awaiting direction and purpose. The dawning light of a new day arises from the horizon and illumines you. You, forever hounded by the shadow of death dogging your steps, upon you the light of hope newly blazes forth, never again to be darkened. As they went their way, Joshua began speaking more directly about other aspects of his mission and the manifesto he had outlined in his sermon. Change your course, he told them. For Yah's reign is in reach. It is right before you, pulling you into its very existence today, into this reality to come. Joshua went on speaking about Yah's reign in accord with his reading from Yesaiah. He told them these words about setting people free and reversing their condition from oppressed to liberated were not simply a nostalgic echo of poetry and feel-good words from long ago. Rather than sitting back and allowing the current to carry them along, Yah's reign required concerted action to counter standard operating procedures of the society around them and to which they were bound. Yah called him to proclaim news that benefits the poor. That news was wrapped in a completely new way of living, not just for the poor, but for all who would heed his voice. Yah's good news was to the benefit of the poor, the rejected, the incarcerated, those held in the oppression of economic systems and social orders. Yah's reign meant the wealth and bounty of the land belonged to all the land's inhabitants, precisely as had been proclaimed by Moshe in times long past. Under Yah's reign, there was no room for an individual's amassing wealth while others starved or went without shelter. Yah's reign gave no quarter to imprisoning people over an inability to pay debts. Yah's reign required a new way to view and move through the world. A new experience of life in which handicaps or physical limitations were no hindrance to one's full participation. Yahshua's manifest purpose, as given by Yah, was to bring about a completely new reality. It was to build a social order that did not pit competitors in opposition to one another. Yah's reign enabled everyone to win together in cooperation. That's what made it good news. Good news for the poor, and a revolutionary experience for the oppressed. It presented a transformative vision of how life could be, how life should be, how life was designed to be. The blessings of Yah's reign lie in community. And the strength of community lies in becoming one through Yah's reign. We are stronger together, better together, fulfilled together. That community of belonging is where Yah reigns.